Good morning. Good morning. And welcome to the Unitarian Society of Ridgewood. My name is Anita Young, and I'm the Sunday Associate this morning. Please take a minute to silence your phones, your electronic devices, or anything else that you're carrying. As I was preparing my greeting for this Sunday, I thought about how every time I'm your service associate, I think about who we are and what we mean to each other and what I can bring to you. When new people come to our society, we speak about our principles and our covenant. Our covenant is a promise we make to be part of this community. It is a beautiful document attempting to create a place of love and acceptance. Trust, honesty, compassion are some of the themes mentioned. We have no formal ceremony such as baptism to become a Unitarian. However, last week, all new members came up to be recognized. They had signed a book to become members, signifying they accepted Unitarian Universalism as their faith and members of this society. We come together every Sunday from previous faiths. We trust that we will be accepted for our differences as we search for truth for ourselves, realizing that one person's truth may differ from another. Here we can express our views, our ideas, passions, voice our opinions, know we may be differing, disagree, but still be accepted for ourselves. There is no higher authority. We are all equal and valued for who we are. We must seek first to know ourselves and acknowledge our own vulnerability, strengths, and weaknesses. We are on a journey to create a better world. And to do that, we must first look within and question ourselves. We must put aside our egos. So let's begin this journey by turning to our neighbor and greeting them joyously. Good morning, neighbor. Yes, go down there and greet. Good morning. This morning, as you walked into our sanctuary, you passed a peace pole with the words, "May peace prevail on earth," written in many languages. We joined a global movement with this all-inclusive message. It reflects our sixth principle, the goal of world community with peace and liberty and justice for all. This is especially meaningful as nations are at war and democracy is at risk. You saw a rainbow flag in support of the GLBTI community and a banner against racism as we stand against discrimination and inequality. This congregation voted to have these symbols represent us. They represent our beliefs and values. This month is June is Pride Month, and festivals and celebrations are being held throughout the state. Rainbow flags are being flown. The liberty taken for granted by so many is at risk as laws are being enacted against the GLBTI community in many states. We are a faith constantly evolving, seeking ways to create a world with justice and compassion, protecting equality for all. We are a faith with no dogma. Our faith affirms and promotes 7 principles grounded in humanistic teachings of the world religions. These principles are insignificant unless we agree to live by them. We believe in the beauty of human diversity and our belief in our interconnection. You make a difference by how you live your lives through your actions and words. You have chosen freely to be part of this service and/or faith. You've made a choice. We come together to support and encourage each other to just not speak our truths, but to live them openly with love through our actions. Thank you for choosing to be on this journey. If you want to know more about the congregation, who we are and what we do, please make sure you fill out a green sheet in the foyer in Anderson, or fill out the form that was being dropped in the chat room on Zoom. Once again, please join us for refreshments, and online we will have breakout rooms for service. This morning, we welcome Pauline Nijander, who is joining us as part of the New Jersey Leadership Leaves program, which provides from several congregations, one minister-led and one lay-led service a month, in addition to emergency pastoral care during Reverend Sarah Lindsay's sabbatical. Pauline recently completed her Master of Divinity program at the Drew University Theological School in Madison, New Jersey, where she was studying for the Unitarian Universalist ministry. While studying at Drew, she received an award for excellence in preaching, which we will hear today, in the 21-22 academic year, an award for excellence in leadership in the 23-24 academic year. Pauline has been a member of the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Princeton since 2013, where she has served in various leadership roles, and is now one of their 2 seminarians. As a proud trans woman and lesbian, Pauline has spoken often to different community and student groups about her perspective and lives in hopes of educating people through honest and engaging conversation about trans life and issues. For this work, she was awarded the 2017 Tri-House LGBTQ+ Champion Award from Life Ties. Along with her wife, Michelle, and their sweet pit bull, Ingrid, Pauline resides in Ewing, New Jersey. Okay. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
Please rise in body and spirit for hymn 66, When the Summer Sun is Shining.
We invite you to use this time to take a deep breath and center yourself in the silence and with the ringing of our singing bowl. Thank you for the beautiful music. We gather here together on this Sunday in the spirit of the principles that we believe in. We gather here together in the spirit of acceptance and in the worth and dignity of those around us, as well as in ourselves. We gather here together in the spirit of community and to celebrate the diversity that makes us who we are, human. It is through our shared humanity that we work together to build a community that celebrates the gifts and the diversity that each of us brings here. And as a woman, a lesbian, and a trans woman, I am grateful to be welcomed here as I am. And whether you be a guest or a longtime member, I hope that whoever you are, wherever you are on your life's journey, please know that you are welcome here.
The chalice is a central symbol of Unitarian Universalism, reminding us of the holy spark in each of us and of our interconnection as one family, beautiful in our differences and untied in our humanity. Please join in the words for lighting the chalice. They should be on the screen. We light this chalice for the hope of truth, the warmth of love, and the energy of action as we gather together in the circle of community. Please rise in body or spirit for hymn number 183.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Jan Botcher, and I serve on the board as treasurer. One of the promises we make to each other in our shared covenant at USR is to support this congregation with our presence, gifts, and service, and to care for each other and the long-term well-being of our community. Our caring team helps us to care for one another. We like to remind you each Sunday that the team can be reached by calling the office and speaking to Anne. You can let her know if you want to share a celebration or if you have a need this congregation can help meet. The work of the caring team is vital, so please also let us know if you want to participate in that work. We care for the long-term well-being of our community by investing in the vision of justice and freedom that we share. We remember that it will take all our different talents, gifts, and support to make that vision a reality. I have several announcements this morning. Please stay after service here in Anderson or on Zoom for our annual meeting, during which we will conduct important businesses of the society, such as approving the budget and electing new board members. Later today, from 2 to 5, right here in the Cottage Place Gallery, there will be an art reception for the beautiful works on our walls by Mary C. Walker. Please join us to celebrate the artwork and celebrate the artist. There's only one date remaining to volunteer for summer childcare. Please email Jean if you can fill it on July 21st. That's July 21st. In June and July, USR is collecting new towels and swimsuits for Citizens for Swimming. Neon colors are best for safety. Please drop off your donations on the Reed porch and place them in the labeled bin. Since the 1960s, the Unitarian Society of Ridgewood has supported children's programming in our neighboring town of Patterson. Citizens for Swimming provides children 9 days of water fun in Ridgewood's local pool, as well as swimming lessons from YMCA swim instructors. Your assistance gives city kids much needed heat relief and invaluable skills for water safety. Thank you for your generosity. This month's Share the Plate collection will benefit the Northern New Jersey Sanctuary Coalition. Sanctuary is a not-for-profit coalition of societies, religious institutions, and individuals from Northern New Jersey, addressing the needs of asylum seekers who have come to our country, escaping dire situations in locations throughout the world. The goal is to help the asylum seekers and asylees establish themselves and achieve self-sufficiency. The coalition helps with housing, medical care, financial support, education, transportation, job searches, and more as individuals and families with young children are confronted by a new culture with little money, limited avenues for housing, or even clothes. Please be generous today. The offering will now be given and gratefully received.
Hear me now, O thou bleak and unbearable world, thou art base and debauched as can be. And a knight with his banners all bravely unfurled now hurls down his gauntlet to thee. I am my Don Quixote, the Lord of La Mancha, my destiny calls and I go. And the wild winds of fortune will carry me onward, or whithersoever they blow. Whithersoever they blow, onward to glory I go. Hear me, heathens and wizards and serpents of sin, all your dastardly doings are past. For a holy endeavor is now to begin, and virtue shall triumph at last. I am my Don Quixote, the Lord of La Mancha, my destiny calls and I go. And the wild winds of fortune will carry me onward, oh, whithersoever they blow. Whithersoever they blow, onward to glory I go.
Wow. Wow. And let us take a moment to take a deep breath in and out as we settle in for this time of prayer and meditation. To the great divine and our individual higher powers, we humbly ask that you continue to walk with us and guide us as we continue to live out our lives. We ask you to help us to see in us the opportunities for growth when things don't turn out quite as we would have had them turn out. May those situations lead to positive opportunities for new friendships and new options that we may not have noticed before. And when we are going through something particularly difficult, please continue to walk with us on this journey of life and help us to see the courage and strength that we have within us to make it in this moment and the next and the next and the next. Then, when we are ready, help us to see the strengths that came out of the journeys that we are all on in this life. Blessed be, and amen. Each Sunday, as part of taking care of one another, we make the time to listen and to share in our joys and sorrows. If you have a cause for celebration or something that is bringing you hardship or grief, and you would like to share it with the gathered community, this is that moment. Friends on Zoom, please write into the chat any joys or sorrows that you carry. And here in Anderson, we invite you to fill out and bring up a sheet if you haven't already done so. I do have 2 already, so if you still need some time to finish writing out, we have a couple coming up. So we have a joy, and I'm sorry in advance if I butcher someone's name, I apologize. From Frank Farrell, the joy, very happy with the new apartment in Patterson. Thanks for the help from USR. We have a sorrow. Jan Botcher writes that her beloved Jim arrived home last Sunday evening to find that his apartment building had burned to the ground. All of the human residents got out safely, but his sweet cat Davy died in the fire. None of his belongings could be salvaged, and he was left with the clothes on his back and the contents of his backpack. Jim is staying with Jan while he deals with the practical and emotional fallout with her support. From Georgetta Walsh, a joy. My granddaughter, Sophia Ann, was born on Friday. Another joy from Catherine Hyde. Being here in person after several Sundays away from home. Happy, my daughter-in-law is feeling significantly better with new, well-tested medical treatments. So Al Smith, and I suppose a little bit of a joy and a sorrow on this one. My friend Gail had an emergency appendectomy Friday evening and is recovering at home. And are there any, yes?
Jack Laura shares an anxiety that we need voting members of the congregation to keep the quorum at the annual meeting and announces that the doors will be blocked at the exit.
All right, so I'm sorry, what was the name on that one? Jack, all right, so Jack's got an anxiety that we need 40 members to achieve quorum, and that the door will be locked so you can't leave before the service is even done. So, while I'm giving the sermon, the doors will be locked. No, I'm just kidding. Were there any others, or? Oh. So if there are no other joys and sorrows, as we close our ritual of joys and sorrows, we hold in our hearts and thoughts the joys and sorrows that remain unspoken. May we continue to celebrate the joys in our lives and find comfort in our time of sorrow with those around us. Blessed be, and amen. So today's reading is going to be a little bit different probably than what you're maybe used to. It is an adaptation of the wonderful children's book, Are You a Cheeseburger? By Monica Arnaldo. And I brought my copy with me for those that would like to see it after the service. This is Grub. And Grub is a raccoon, and Grub, he's all by himself. I'm gonna hopefully use the microphone to hold him up. There we go. And well, this will be my representation of Seed. And Seed just so happened to be stuck in the trash. There you go, Grub, hold on to him. There we go. Now, the two of them had very little in common, except that at this very moment, the two of them just so happened to be in the same garbage can. Now, at first, Grub ignored Seed, but eventually Grub stopped to chat with Seed. I'm looking for someone to plant me in the ground so I can start growing, said Seed. Grub looked at the seed hungrily and asked, will you grow food? Could you grow cheeseburgers? What's a cheeseburger? Replied Seed. Something very good and very special. Maybe. We will have to wait and see. Grub had never seen a cheeseburger plant before, but the idea sounded delicious to him, so he planted Seed right away. Now what? Grub asked. Now we wait. How long? Grub continued to ask as his stomach grumbled. I'm not sure. We will have to wait and see. The two of them spent every evening together, with Grub tending to Seed. They would each tell each other about the days that they had. Grub about the delicious things he pulled from the garbage, a half-eaten cheeseburger, barely moldy, a piece of cheeseburger bun with some mustard on it, and Seed would share about a long worm, a short worm, and two worms that moved through the dirt nearby. And slowly, very slowly, Seed began to change, and before they both knew it, Seed, you're out of the ground, exclaimed Grub. Yes, I'm growing, said Seed. The two celebrated, and Grub continued to tend Seed while Seed kept growing and growing. Those cheeseburgers were nearly at hand. And one morning, Seed bloomed. Are the cheeseburgers ready? Asked Grub. Grub, I don't think I'm a cheeseburger plant. I think I'm just a flower. Not a cheeseburger plant? So no cheeseburgers? Grub was sad. He became quiet and had a serious look on his face for a long, long time. Seed hesitantly asked, what is it? I'm thinking. About cheeseburgers? No, about flowers. What are you thinking about flowers? I'm thinking that flowers are good and special too, maybe even more special than cheeseburgers. Seed gasped, more special than cheeseburgers? Well, maybe the same. And Grub gave his friend Flower a big hug, and the two would continue onward as friends, seed as a flower, and grub as a gardener. There were no cheeseburgers, but they did have each other, and that is something both very good and very special. As we move through the service, I want us to keep in mind a few questions, specifically about the things that we have going on in our lives. How do we react when things don't quite turn out the way that we had wished them to turn out? Do we happen to see an opportunity for something new, for some sort of change in us? And how important is it for everything we want to do in our lives to go smoothly? And are there opportunities that we're possibly missing out on as a result?
In the quiet, misty morning. In the quiet, misty morning, when the moon has gone to bed, when the sparrows stop their singing, and the sky is clear and red, when the summer ceased its gleaming, when the corn is past its prime, when adventure's lost its meaning, I'll be homeward bound in time. Bind me not to the pasture, chain me not to the plough. Set me free to find my calling, and I'll return to you somehow. If you find it's me you're missing, if you're hoping I'll return, to your thoughts I'll soon be listening. In the road I'll stop and turn. Then the wind will set me racing as my journey nears its end, and the path I'll be retracing when I'm homeward bound again. Bind me not to the pasture, chain me not to the plough. Set me free to find my calling, and I'll return to you somehow. In the quiet, misty morning, when the moon has gone to bed, when the sparrows stop their singing, I'll be homeward bound again.
Before I dive right into the sermon, I would like to say thank you to Anita for being the worship associate, to Ron for the beautiful music, Dylan, fantastic, for our tech folks in the back, because we wouldn't have microphones or Zoom if it weren't for them, and and anyone that I might be missing, I'm really sorry. Thank you for the warm welcome that I've had here today. So for those that may have missed my bio or my opening words at the beginning of the service, I am a transgender woman. Now, because I try not to make assumptions, for those that are not 100% sure what that means for me, it means that I was assigned male at birth, and then at some point in my life, specifically 15 years ago, I began the transition of ceasing the use of masculine pronouns, changed my legal name to Pauline, and began to present as female for my gender expression. Now, growing up as a child in the 1980s, while I had some very small inkling that something was different and off about me, I didn't quite have the words nor the courage to tell my parents the things that I was feeling as I was growing up. Nowhere in there did I share with anyone the feelings of being in the wrong body, the trying on of my sister's clothes when she wasn't home, and neither did I think that the transgender women on daytime trashy TV shows like Jerry Springer were actual good representations of me. In my 20s, with the help of my then girlfriend, I would come to the realization that I was in fact transgender. And as far as we have come in understanding and affirming the transgender community here in the state of New Jersey, 10 to 15 years ago, transitioning was still very risky business. For my personal journey going through it all, it was incredibly difficult and at times downright terrifying. Coming out to family and friends, coming out to work and the employees I was supervising at the time, legally changing my name in the courts, dealing with people that did not understand my journey in life and choosing to remain ignorant about what that meant. Being fearful of how people would react to my being in the bathroom or even just walking down the street. I recall having a conversation with a good friend of mine when I had come out to her in 2010. Her comment to me after I had outed myself purposely went along the lines of, "Pauline, how much courage you have for going through and doing what it is that you're doing." I didn't feel courageous, nor did I feel brave. I was only doing this because the alternative was something that I had feared contemplating. I was scared and angry and a whole slew of emotions, and almost all of them incredibly difficult and are usually described as negative emotions. Bravery was certainly nowhere on my radar screen for how to describe the, well, oddly enough, unexpected journey that I had found myself on. Yes, you did hear me correctly. This was an unexpected journey that I had found myself on, because never in my wildest thoughts did I ever think about transition. It would only be after I hit the lowest point in my life that it became even the remotest of thoughts. Now, I use this snippet of my life's story as a rather extreme example of something that we have encountered at some point in our lives, and that is experiencing the unexpected things that can arise, or when things don't quite turn out like we may have wanted them to, like it did for the raccoon Grub from the story, Are You a Cheeseburger? Some of us may encounter small, unexpected things like a broken water heater, a flat tire on the side of the road, a bad grade on a paper or test, or we hit every single red light on a roadway because the driver in front of us is going much slower than we want them to, and I'm certainly not speaking from experience on that one. Now, we may have other major things that unexpectedly turn out for the worse, like a negative interaction with a neighbor, a friend, or a family member. Or we may even have something as big as being laid off, or perhaps for some, going through a major transition of some sort. How do we see these types of unexpected and negative things that happen in our lives? What are our reactions to these things when we encounter them? I suspect that for many, if not all of us, will probably get angry or upset. I mean, who wants to change a flat tire along the side of the road or clean up a flooded mess that gets left behind when the water heater breaks? Our anger may boil over as we yell obscenities or possibly provide an one-finger New Jersey salute to the person holding us up in traffic as we finally pass them by in that long-awaited passing zone in the roadway. Now, for some of the larger things, we may find ourselves feeling overwhelmed at the fallout from a situation or at the enormity of whatever situation it is that we find ourselves in, where all we can see is this entire proverbial mountain range that we need to cross. And we're at the base of that first mountain, looking upward and feeling incredibly small. And you know what? Every single emotion that we feel in these moments, the anger, the confusion, the frustration, the fear, the feelings of being overwhelmed, all of those emotions, they're what we're feeling in those moments. And let me tell you that it's okay to have those emotions. They're perfectly valid emotions, but we'll caveat it with that it's all in how we act upon those feelings that is most important. In other words, when we get angry, it's probably not a good idea to react like the driver in my previous example, but we are allowed to feel angry and frustrated. As was in the story with Grub, he feels sadness, disappointment, and I suspect anger and frustration at the fact that the plant in the story grew up to be not a cheeseburger plant, but a flower. All valid experiences and all valid feelings that we have all experienced. And from the snippet of my life story, it was those feelings of being overwhelmed, of being terrified how people would react, the anger and frustration of being misgendered a handful of times, and at being misunderstood by the people who chose to remain ignorant of an incredibly large and important aspect of my life. Great. So now comes the big question. What do we do with all these feelings? And what do we do with all these emotions? Well, we have two options that we can do with all this emotional stuff. We can let all of those emotions just wash over us and let anger and frustration dominate how we act or react. We can hold on to resentments that can affect not only who we are as people, but also our physical and mental well-being. Or we can choose a different path. As I mentioned earlier, in 2010, a friend of mine responded to my coming out to her by telling me that I was incredibly courageous, and all I was able to feel were all those negative emotions that one would expect to feel when the unexpected hits us. However, fast forward a few years' time, where I found myself at the beginning of my journey into the field of ministry. After volunteering to deliver a lay-led sermon a few months prior, I was scheduled to preach my first sermon in September of 2016, and boy, was I nervous. Now, I had done my due diligence in preparing my sermon and even received the green light on the content from Reverend Bill Neely, the congregational minister of the UU congregation of Princeton, but I couldn't shake those nerves. Whether it came from my higher power or not, I have no idea. But I found myself at that moment thinking about my life's journey, and that line from my friend about the courage it took for me to be doing what my transition came to mind. So I pulled at that thread, and the thought process emerged that, well, I had successfully transitioned. I came out to countless people that included family, friends, and coworkers. I legally changed my name, and I was living as my authentic self. What else could I have encountered in my life that could possibly be as difficult as all of that? Preaching my first sermon, while certainly nerve-wracking, paled in comparison to the difficulty of the journey with all of its twists and turns and unexpected outcomes that I had gone through. It may have taken me a bit of time, but it was here where I experienced growth in how I had seen my unexpected journey. I still remembered all of those feelings that I had felt. I mean, I couldn't discount them, only now I felt something new: empowerment. Empowerment is but one outcome from the opportunity for growth we have whenever we go through something incredibly difficult. For Grubb, while he still didn't have his cheeseburger plant, he chose his path toward growth with regard to the situation, and he was able to find a few unexpected but good things. A new hobby as a gardener, and more importantly, a new friend. That is the type of emotional growth where if we allow ourselves the opportunity, we can try to pull from all the negative and unexpected things that happen in our lives. Sometimes it may require a bit of work on our parts and may require us to make the conscious effort by asking ourselves, is there anything good that can come out of the situation? That person driving slowly in front of us on the highway, maybe the positive is that it's a sign that our lives are too hectic and this is an opportunity for us to slow down and enjoy the drive before we move on to the next thing that we have to do. Flat tire on the side of the road, maybe the positive is that you learned that you had the ability to do a car repair on your own. That leaky water heater, perhaps the positive takeaway is a good laugh that you would eventually have with friends and family over dinner about it. And honestly, those types of unexpected situations can yield a multitude of positive things, and it takes a change in our perspective to be able to see that growth in us. However, I would be lying if I said that these moments for growth would all be easy to attain. We all know those moments that we have in our lives, those moments that are overwhelming and it seems like nothing good can ever come from it. And it may seem like we will never, ever find a growth opportunity from those moments. That's okay. Sometimes, like my journey through my transition, it may take a while for us to see the growth that has occurred. And for those moments that overwhelmed us, we may not see it and we may not think any kind of growth can come from it, but it's there. And usually it's others that will see it in us first. It's the courage and strength to make it through the difficult times that allows us to grow. As we move forward today and in the days, weeks, and months ahead, I would encourage us to reflect on those moments in our lives where things may have turned out differently from what you expected, to do a bit of a retrospective, as you will. And in that retrospective, I would encourage us to focus on the positive things that have come out of it, to see the personal growth that we all have been able to do, the new friends we were able to make, the new stories and laughter we can share. If we struggle to find something, trust in the knowledge that growth surely did take place. We may just not be in a place to see it just yet. Be gentle with yourselves, be gentle with others, and be there for one another. Help each other through difficult times and know that positive growth is possible, regardless of the situation. Blessed be, and amen. And please join in the words for extinguishing our chalice. They will be up on the screen. We extinguish the flame, but may the hope of truth, the warmth of love, and the energy of action burn bright in our hearts until we are together again. And for our benediction, may love and compassion guide you in all that you do. May wisdom help you to seek responsible truths and meanings. May inspiration lead you to new places, and may the hope you bring be a beacon for others. May you share your beautiful gifts with the world. Blessed be, and amen.